You know, I'm amazed Celestia didn't inquire about the whole Ursa Minor and Dragon incidents. Either she was waiting for the subjects during our conversation to be brought up back at the castle, or Twilight never informed the monarch about my parts in the whole ordeals. Really wouldn't surprise me much. That mare mostly writes her letters to the princess about the lessons she's learned from spending time with those other ponies. Myself, I never learnt a single thing during my stay here, other than to be more discreet. And look how well that's working out for me. Right now, I was currently walking alongside the wary older sibling of Twilight, who casually waved and greeted back to any passing pony who knew him, while showing me around the kingdom, briskly pointing out various shops and homes filled with Canterlot's most successful ponies outside the monarchy. It's a beautiful town, don't you agree? Back to making conversation instead of throwing me less than slow, wary, distrustful glances in my passive direction. Eh, just to humor him and anything to get rid of this awkward tension the taller stallion was emitting. If it was less crowded, I admitted, which was why my eyes kept fixed forward for no eye contact with any citizen. Another glance. You're not fond of crowds. I find myself in discomfort around them. I prefer my own solitude and space. Like libraries, then. I nodded plainly. Like libraries. The white unicorn nodded to another waving pair of ponies passing by, who knew him before speaking again. At least from the tone, Armor was attempting to be civil, despite his clear own discomfort of walking beside a visitor from another world. I'll be honest, I'm still processing over the information Princess Celestia told me about you. Dare I ask about your thoughts? Armor waved off the sarcasm. In all my years of learning that anything can be possible, this never crossed my mind. Here I am, walking beside a living alien and showing him around Canterlot. This is completely surreal. For once, I almost doubted the prince's words entirely, and concluded with a shake of his head. Sounds to me that anyone will believe what that monarch says. This time, a faint smile. I guess so. Yes, if there's one thing I've taken note about the inhabitants of Equestria during my time spent here, they're gullible to a fault. They're not stupid, clearly, but even I'm not so hopelessly naive as everyone else. At least the cautious captain displayed some disbelief over the matter of what I was. So if you're not a pony, then what are you? Human. Armor took a moment to think before continuing. I've never heard of that species before. I'd be surprised if you did. I shrugged casually as the taller stallion nodded politely to more friendly-seeming ponies. Luckily, even in the streets filled with multicolored horses, we weren't within casual earshot, but I kept my eyes glancing in every direction just in case someone decided to listen in. No such kind lives on this world, and thank God, too. Does she know? That sudden question caused me to blink and this time look at him fully. Excuse me? That was then we finally made a full stop in our walk, somewhere in the middle of the vastly wide, pleasant kingdom. Armor's attention on me with stern, unwavering eyes. Twilight, does she know about this? Uh, no. No? No. And why is that? The less anyone knows, the better, I simply replied. On the outside, unfazed by the stare, but inwardly admiring the staring for his clearly trained expression of intimidation. I see. What, just like that? My eyebrow raised as the white unicorn inexplicably turned away and looked off to the other direction, obviously in thought over something. She knows who you are, but not what you are? Indeed, I said cautiously. Was this going somewhere? So for all she knows, you're just a pony living inside her house, with no suspicion regarding your origins whatsoever? Oh, I don't know about that, my friend. Your sister has placed me under her radar from quite some time now. It's both amusing and irritating. But just as I was about to voice those thoughts, a different familiar voice cut me off, aimed directly at me. You! Both our heads immediately looked at the left to the oncoming blue unicorn walking towards us with intent, calling over her shoulder at a group of ponies observing her. Trixie will be back to present her incredible skills in a moment, my dear admirers. Oh, lovely. Just what I needed. Her, of all ponies. But I was so enjoying this already coming migraine from the suspicious captain of the rear guard, watching us curiously. Trixie? I nodded in casual greeting as she was within hearing range, an expression of slight irritation on her features. Stardust Balance. Oh, you remember me. I feel elated. A hoof pointed in my direction. You have some nerve showing your face around here. Truly a charismatic female pony of her time. And here Trixie believed you would be hiding away in a cave from the rest of society. What a petty jab. I shrugged indifferently as my tone came out dry. What can I say? I take ponies by surprise. I inwardly smirked at the narrowing of her pink eyes. Clearly, you do, seeming to ignore Armor's interested presence entirely. The blabbering boaster mare quickly looked around the area. Tell me, is that mare Twilight Sparkle here with you? Aw, and here I thought you were just coming over to say hi. I smiled politely at her unamused glare. I can respect that she at least got straight to the point, but no. Twilight is back in Ponyville. I'm here on my own. A lengthy, sour pause before the blue mare spoke in clear disdain and disappointment. I see. And I blinked by the sudden leaning forward towards me, a pointed hoof against my bright yellow chest. Will you tell that foolish mare that the great and powerful Trixie still plans to return to that wretched town of hers and show her, once and for all, who the greatest magical unicorn in all of Crustia truly is? Very well, I agreed as she leaned back, relieved I had my own personal space again. Anything else? Obviously not expecting such a blunt response. Trixie quickly recomposed herself with a heavy frown. As a matter of fact, yes. No matter what you think, the great and powerful Trixie owes you nothing. With that, she quickly turned and stomped off like an annoyed child. At the sight of the arrogant unicorn returning to her crowd of deluded ponies, both I and the baffled Armor exchanged glances. Owes you nothing? I waved it off dismissively. I saved her life from being finished off by an Ursa Minor attack, taking the blow myself. Clearly, he did not expect such an answer, by the rapid blinking of his blue eyes. Then suddenly, Armor took it upon himself to this time look into my eyes. What is it with ponies and their need to invade personal space? As though checking for any deceit. Well, I assure you, my friend, you will find no lie from me about that incident. You're not lying. Finally leaning back, ignoring my raised, irritated brow for being so close to me just then, the tall captain shook his head again in disbelief. You mean to tell me that you not only are from another world, but you survived a battle against an Ursa Minor, too? Pretty much. Don't worry, I'm as confused as you are. You're either brave or foolish. Just imagine his and the princess's reaction to the fact. Apparently, I'm affected differently by magic, according to Twilight. I'm still wondering that myself. I dare say the situation was more surreal to me than the others, and this stallion before me? Oh wait, that's because it was. Because unlike these ponies, I hold a more firmer grasp over logic. Shining, is that you, sweetie? And our conversation gets interrupted again. Wait, sweetie? What now? Both our heads turn to the source of the voice again, this time originating from a different unicorn approaching us eagerly with another. Evidently from the eyelashes of the one who called out Armor's name was a female. For that was a dark shade of gray, purple and white stripes of mane and tail, blue clear eyes gleaming with joy at the white smiling stallion beside, awaiting them. The stallion walking beside her with equal happiness had dark blue fur, nice, with a darker blue mane and tail, and even more nice, and yellow eyes. Clearly from the postures and how close they were, it was a couple walking towards us. Hang on, I know that mare. Yeah, from the MLP app game. I had on my tablet a long time ago before I deleted it. God, I miss my tablet. What was her name again? Oh, well, can't recall, but I do know this gray unicorn standing right in front of me. And embracing her son was the mother of Twilight Sparkle. And that means the male unicorn watching the scene with me was obviously the father. Took a step back, allowing the family to have their loving reunion moment. This isn't something I anticipated on my way to Canterlot at all. First Twilight's brother, then her parents. My eyes quickly looked to another direction when I noticed the male parent glancing at me while the three chatted away. Oh no, don't mind me. I'm just someone your son is escorting around town. Mr. and Mrs. I'll probably find out in a moment. I swallowed a lump of awkwardness clawing at my throat, begging me to just walk off and not be somehow included into the conversation. Gah! I blinked rapidly in surprise by the close proximity of the gray unicorn regarding me with the warmest and curiosity. Well, hello there. I don't think I've seen you around Canterlot before. Yeah, well, when this is over, I plan never to return to Canterlot again, for the life of me. I threw Armor a cautious expression when he cleared his throat politely. Ha, mother, father. This is a resident from Ponyville. I'm currently shouting around Canterlot. Stardust Balance. Meet my parents, Twilight, Velvet, and Nightlight. One moment. I need to think about what I just heard. Twilight, Velvet, and Nightlight. Nightlight? Nightlight? Shining Armor, and now Nightlight? And that's even worse than his son's name. I'm torn between laughing or just gawking at the three. Is it traditional for the males in Twilight's family tree to be named after real-life objects or fairy tale terms? Here I thought Armor's name was just a last-minute thought of Frost's. But this was just hilarious and baffling. And Twilight Velvet? Isn't it confusing for your daughter's forename to be after your own? Shouldn't that purple unicorn instead be called Twilight 2 then? And finally, how exactly does naming of ponies in this world even work? Obviously not like back home. It seems the inhabitants of Equestria love naming their offsprings after their favorite words or something. Feeling a rather rough nudge at my side from an irritated white stallion, I snapped out of my stupor and realized my staring was either discomforting or bemusing the pair before me. A pleasure to meet you both, I forced out as politely as I could, and while the mare shook my offered hoof friendly before doing the same with her husband. Huh, I said out loud by complete accident. Is something wrong? Nope, I couldn't possibly say the whole name in my mind without busting it. But oh well, since... Yeah, you're blue, I instead pointed out, and he blinked at my blunt observation. Best color in the world. Ah, this time he smiled. And you're gold. A fine color for the young stallion to be escorted by my son. I wasn't exactly sure what to make of that statement, and that's coming from me. So you come from Ponyville, then, where my daughter happened to depart to a while back. Indeed, I nodded as our hooves released from the shake. Do you happen to know her, Twilight Sparkle? Of course. Oh, splendid. How was her time in Ponyville, then? Oh, well, great. Couldn't be better. She's made lots of friends with the residents there and helped out a lot of ponies. And Spike? Him too. Oh, the mother of the purple unicorn, whom the pair were obviously proud of, smiled pleasantly. Are you a friend of our dear daughter's, then? No, Not exactly friend. I mean, she's the closest I would consider as one in regards to the town's populace. Of those multicolored horses. Yes, you could say I'm well acquainted with her, I replied honestly, and immediately regretting it by the raised brow of the dark blue unicorn. Indeed? How acquainted? Oh, good God, not them too. I did not come to Canterlot just to meet with the whole family of Twilight and be asked these ludicrous questions and implications. Rarity was bad enough with the disgusting teasing. What next? I'm going to meet Twilight's cousin? Well, minus 10 points for hesitation, Stardust. Way for making the situation more awkward than it needed to be. Oh, come now, dear, don't embarrass the poor young stallion. Phew. Those inquiries should be one asked by me instead. What? So do tell us, then, Stardust. Exactly how close are you to our beloved daughter? They can't be serious. My infuriated feelings at the repulsive questions inside me that glare right back at the observant armor's own. This is your fault, you damn stallion. No. Celestia must have foreseen this scene coming and wanted to exact payback for my informal greetings to her. Well, congratulations, you useless monarch. Now I've got three of your students' family members making stupid assumptions about me. Thank God at least two of them aren't aware of how close I was living near their beloved daughter. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Velvet then suddenly let out a giggle. We only jest, good sir. No need to look so uncomfortable by us. True enough, even her mate smiled in amusement at the state of me. Why did these things happen to me? Some pony, any pony, help! Ah, yes, something to distract attention. Oh, hang on. This sounded urgent. All four of us quickly turned our attention then to a calling adult beige-colored mare, looking wildly around the streets for evidently some form of assistance. Any pony, please! My foal, before it's too late. Foal? Foal? Wait. Foal and pony talk translate to baby. Oh God! But the noble captain of the guards already rushed to the panicking unicorn before I did. Ma'am, what's wrong? I can help you. Armor spoke both briskly and yet kindly at once. Ah, finally, someone with clear authority around here. Captain Armor, my baby, trapped in my house. Please come with me. The white determined stallion nodded and followed the frightened mare until they were out of sight, obviously heading towards where the cloud of smoke was coming from. Cloud of smoke? This time rising upwards, and she mentioned an infant. No. Oh no. Not while I'm here. Wait! Let Shining Armor take care of this, I heard the worried voice of Velvet behind my hardened posture. The hell I will. My eyes quickly glanced at the concerned pair, who blinked in surprise at my changed expression. I'd rather damn my entire life than do nothing when a child is in danger. That said, I turned back and ran in a hurried pursuit of the white stallion towards the obviously burning house. Well, I was right. It was a burning house, all right. Despite how fast I ran, there was no exhaustion welling up in my being. Just pure determination to assist with the crisis in any way I can. Quickly running past various multicolored ponies, either watching with horror or trying to water the house down with hoses. My eyes looked around during my run for any sign of armor, passing by protesting horses trying to prevent me from going anywhere near the towering fire. Nothing so far. But that beige unicorn who cried for help earlier was just nearby the front door, eyes fixed on the opening house with no indication of budging, despite two pony guards clad in armor reflecting the nearby flames, attempting to push her away. That suggests armor was already inside. Fantastic. But just to check, I quickly stepped by right next to the watching frightened mare. Ma'am, I asked as I approached the worried unicorn. When she didn't acknowledge me, I continued my inquiry. Has he already gone in to rescue your child? quick affirmative nod, knowing exactly who I was talking about, without even glancing at the person questioning her. But at least I got my confirmation now. My eyes gazed back at the building. Already I can feel the heat on my fur, warming me up to a degree I never felt back as a human, thanks to this current body of fur around me. Perhaps this is what it felt like when you just arrived into a desert. My eyes squinted as the light of the fire and smoke assaulted my eyes, even though I haven't entered the falling house yet. Now, any sane person who wasn't a keeper of peace or a firefighter wouldn't even consider going in there while others were handling the crisis. But I'm not sane. Quite the contrary. It just might be a debate of who would have a bigger mental stability, me or Pinkie Pie. That'll be put to the test, should no one emerge from that house very soon. Immediately a firm hoof hit my shoulder as I approached more closer to the falling house. What is it with these touchy-feely ponies, inciting me to look to my right at the golden guard attempting to prevent me from going forward? I'm sorry, sir, but no pony is allowed beyond this point. It's too dangerous. Well, good thing I'm not a pony then. I smiled wryly. I seem to find myself in danger a lot, my friend, ever since I arrived in this damn world. Even so, the guard was clearly not amused. We already have Captain Armor in there. Anybody else who wants to help can by not interfering. The captain's orders. The news caused me to roughly shrug the loaf off me, my one eyes on the guard display. Wait, you mean Armor is in there alone? His own eyes narrowed at the obvious disrespect towards his commanding officer. I repeat his orders. Don't worry, citizen. Captain Armor is more than capable of handling himself. We will provide backup should the captain remain in there longer than we expect. We urge you to have faith in his abilities. Longer than they... No, I'm not having this. There is a baby trapped inside this burning building as we speak, yet that reckless stallion insisted everyone else wait outside while he conducts a heroic rescue. Oh, I know, this is a cartoon. There might be 100% chance he'll escape inside the falling house, with the baby riding safely on his back. But there'll be hell to pay if I just sit there and do nothing to help. No, my conscience wouldn't allow me to sit back and enjoy the show while an infant is trapped in there, being rescued or not. And faith in his abilities? Pah! I saw clips of those 2 wedding episodes. Hold this. I thrust the cape I tore off me into the arms of the surprised guard, who immediately realized the stupidity I was about to instigate. Sir, you can't just go in there. It's the captain's orders. I take orders from a higher authority, I snapped. The golden pony, who recoiled in surprise at my harsh, bold tone, before clearing his throat and asking with a hint of interest in that guard-like tone. And who's that, sir? I glanced at the guard for a second, before turning my gaze at the burning house, the heat feeling stronger than earlier. With one comforting word, I stated who the higher authority was, before returning into the fiery building that was sure to kill me. If it wasn't in a world where no one can possibly die in that fashion. Mine. Ow, 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 ow. I winced at every step I took on the hard wood, feeling the sting of the heat penetrate my skin while I walked through the house with caution. There must be blisters in my hoofs already, though that may just be a simple exaggeration on my part. As I moved around, carefully passing by flames sticking out from various areas of the ruined walls and wooden floors, carpets already burnt to a crisp, so I can't stop to take a minute to rest. I want to give my pain pills a break. So this is what a burnt house truly looks like from first experience. Ow! I'm already regretting this, but an infant's life is at stake. I can't just walk away from that. Armor may be a unicorn, and captain of Canterlot's royal guard, and the brother of an arguably soon-to-be most powerful mayor in all of Equestria, but he wasn't invincible. Funny thing, ow. I never imagined myself doing something like this in reality. Arg. Sure, many of us dream of performing heroic acts and deeds like saving someone from a burning, falling apart building. But that's the thing about fantasy and reality. It's never what you truly expect from the latter. Arg, son of a... I felt my features continuously contort in mixtures of pain, irritation, and determination. Let's see, I was clearly in the main hallway, as the upstairs to my dishwasher was inaccessible, blocked by numerous debris, so I'd have to find another way up, so should the infinite be up there. And the wood beneath feels unstable enough. My mind screamed danger and incited me to quickly take a step back, flinching multiple times as piles of falling wood with a number of heavy-looking equipment. I swore I saw a toilet amidst them, from the upper floor, fell through the smoking ceiling in front of me, and somehow creating a gaping hole within the first floor as the debris fell straight through. After taking some deep breaths, while coughing rather violently for it, I was ordered to taking slow breaths, then before leaning forward and looking down at the black hole before me, seemingly leaning down to crush its core. How does that even work? Stardust! The pained, shocked yell caused me to immediately look up at the stallion from the other side of the hallway, separated from reaching me by the hole produced from the debris just now. From the look of things, no injuries, as he seemed to be standing up, staring at me just fine. Good, he's... Hold on, is that something on his back? I squinted hard as my vision confirmed it. Armor was carrying something, hopefully someone, on him as he looked at me with mixed expressions of distrust, worry, and firmness. Where's the child? I yelled, as the cackling fires were already beginning to rise in sound and heat, and I found some relief in this deathly situation when Armor nodded to his back as a small head perked up over his shoulder, staring me with evident fear as the fool's arms were wrapped around Armor's neck tightly. I called out again, ignoring the suspicious expression the tall stallion still cast toward me. Can you find another way around? Wouldn't matter how high his status was in the kingdom. I doubt anyone can easily jump over this hole. But I felt a sinking feeling within my gut at the negative response, yelling over the crackling flames as, well, this hallway is the only way across. What about the back of the house? Nothing but a concrete wall, far too dangerous to exit there with this colt on me. I was afraid of that. What? I shook my head. Now is not the time to give up before I could even plan something. Are you capable of jumping over? I asked. Next, after the stallion was seemingly done with soothing the terrified child holding onto him. If there was no other way around, this may seem like the only option remaining, if Armor had it in him. I frowned at the sight of hesitation, looking at me as though I was bonkers while saying something I couldn't hear over the growing fire surrounding inch by inch. But I think, judging by the expression afterwards, I got the gist behind his reluctance to the idea. If this is about your distrust of me, we can sort that out later. Now, are you capable of jumping over or not? Yes, he finally answered with unwavered certainty. But I can't jump over with him attached to me. Far too dangerous, but there is another way. Well, in the face of possible death, some optimism will do nicely. Hold out your front hooves. What? But I quickly obliged, rather hastily, at the stern, irritated look from across the large hole. Okay, now what? Now catch! Holy! I felt my features contort from immediate panic to relief straight afterwards, as the child landed in my arms, magically floated at a rather fast speed from the right unicorn concentrating. Well, that was reckless, but not quite as reckless as jumping over with the child intact. Jeez, kid, you are heavy. Yes, the look of fright stayed on the child with the small hat's face at the unexpected lift to his new holder. Despite the situation around us, I felt some new resolve. The resolve of saving a child. I've got him! I yelled over the now roaring fire, somehow getting worse. Just where was this world's fire brigade? I can see that, Armor yelled, this time more force added to his voice. Now get him out of here. I'll meet you outside. Don't need to tell me twice. I quickly turned around, being certain beforehand the child was holding on to my neck tightly. It had run straight to the intersection, which thankfully wasn't too far, disregarding possibility of possible more holes created from the pressure of my stomping hose. Gotta dig out, gotta get out, gotta get out. Oh damn heat. Arg, this freaking hurts. And I'm out. Running through the blank smoke there wasn't there earlier to the open doorway, then as more leaped to my body, I felt fresh air penetrate my lungs as all four of my limbs landed roughly on the stone floors of the outside world, quickly inhaling the welcoming oxygen. Mommy! I felt the pressure of the small pony lifted off my back, causing me to glance over my shoulder as the boy leapt into the waiting, embracing arms of his parent. Have I ever felt so accomplished in my life? No. That's twice now I've risked myself for the safety of an individual. First, that arrogant blue mare, and now a child. Around me I heard cheers from the crowds who were evidently observing the burning building with worry. Yep, that's right. Star Spelling's got a child out of a house fire. This is the first and probably last time I will ever do something like that again. Hang on. Suddenly, even with the crowd yelling out in relief and joy and the mother of the colt thanking me loudly, my eyes slowly turned to the still burning building, wondering the same thing the guards around me were asking. Where was Armor? Surely he was made the jump by now. Alright, I'll give him 4 seconds to get out. Time's up! Ignoring the surprised yells and protests, I hurled myself back into the waiting house, back smoke surrounding as I felt the stuff penetrate my lungs. Twice I've entered this falling apart house, but no time to mentally berate myself for it. I need to find Armor, fast. God forbid, as I told Spike during the bear incident, that I would allow anyone to be harmed under my watch. Passing through the fog, I did my best to ignore the violent coughing I was emitting while my squinted, pained eyes struggled to see through the hallway, where I last saw the stallion. And there he was, about to fall, or at least if I hadn't been there to catch him. My body leaped forwards and extended. Hoof quickly grabbed onto the slipping limb, while the unicorn hanged over the hole, obviously not quite making the jump over, and was slipping on the front floorboards, front half of his body hanging on before I showed up. Must get him up. But good grief, and I thought the coat was heavy. It really didn't help with my already failing state. The intensity was beginning to become too much. Any moment I might pass out from the gas around us, but hell, if I'm going down, at least I can save one more life before doing so. As I tried to pull back, my other front hoof grabbed onto him, ignoring the shocked expression on him for saving his life. Yeah, praise me for defeat later, you contrived pony. Thankfully, his surprise quickly wore off as he used his own free hoof to push himself forwards, and together we managed to get the unicorn up from the hole. Armor then standing up with fast recovery before looking at me with perplexity. And was that a bit of respect in his eyes? But with firm nods to each other, the two of us left the burning house, running through the hallway, as the cliche event behind our determined rush happens where the falling ceiling follows before your escape. And as soon as we made it to the outside world once more, the pair of us violently coughing before collapsing as the pressure took its hold. My behavior, which was even strange to myself, had me smile up at the blue, beautiful skies above, while we were being surrounded by cheering ponies. Then one glance at the wet unicorn looked to me also. Mixed expressions of his face, so nothing new there. I felt a laugh escape my slowing coughs, following by Armor copying my reaction to the ridiculous day we had just been through. And finally, we found ourselves laughing hard, taking bliss in our success in saving a nearby child, and ignorant to the confused expressions of the guards and townsfolk alike. I was wrong about you, Stardust. Today has clearly shown me that, Armor stated in front of a small group, all who decided to come over to the station to see me off, as evening had already come. You're brave and foolish. After the rather dangerous, yet admittedly somewhat exciting incident with the burning house earlier today, which I'm convinced now this world just won't allow me to catch a break, both I and the stallion managed to somehow slip away from the cheering crowd that had both mine and Armor's exhausted states, surrounded with aid from the royal guards. I enjoyed the gawking look on the stallion's face when I said we should just simply continue with the tour. Then the parents of his and Twilight's caught up with us, expressions filled with concern for the health of Armor's and mine. I kept blinking rapidly at the repeated inquiries about if I was right, alongside their son, but the real shocker was being embraced by the mother for saving her son's life. The soon-to-be prince, describing in rather nauseating detail what occurred inside that house as we walked along the streets. Suffice to say, I inexplicably and unintentionally got them to like me. And to top it all off, we later discovered that as the two older puppies decided to accompany and later treat us to lunch, the parent and her child that we rescued thanked the pair of us dramatically. I was so caught off guard by everything that's happened today, and all I could do was shrug relentlessly while Armor smoothly told the grateful mayor we just did what we had to do, nothing more, nothing less. A bigger relief to us all was when the mayor reassured us that the house was instead her own mother's, who frankly was out at the time, and both her and her son was just visiting Canterlot to see the colt's aged grandmother. We all laughed when the mayor said her mother was eventually going to the elderly's home sooner or later anyway. I outwardly displayed awkwardness when it came to questions about myself, quickly steering the conversation as best I could from the intrigued ponies. But on the inside, I felt more accomplished than ever. Well, I answered with a humorous shrug to Armor's statement. What can I say, repeating my last words from earlier? I take others by surprise. Evidently, he replied with a touch of amusement before raising an inquisitive eyebrow. But are you sure you need to go back already? Even when they haven't returned to the castle yet after you first arrived? If you're worried over what Princess Celestia would say about your heroic actions today, I'm sure she'll be completely positive about them. I shook my head. That's not the reason. More of the circumstances why relating to the gut feeling me sticking around any longer today would put me through more action. And I've had more than my fair share of such today. I could immediately return to my room in Ponyville upon arrival back and spend the rest of the day reading some of those storybooks Twilight was kind enough to lend me. In fact, that's what I'm going to do, no questions asked. Sod whatever event crisis was going on back in Ponyville. I don't care if Zecora the voodoo zebra was visiting the town and inadvertently causing unnecessary prejudice against herself. Voodoo zebra. I don't believe a single person on my entire planet would ever have managed putting the two words together. I continued my vocal train of thought. But I do appreciate the tour you've given me around Canterlot. You, Miss Velvet, and Mr. Light. Don't make a Death Note joke, don't make a Death Note joke, don't make a Death Note joke. Having no clue to my restrained laughter, the mayor by the side nodded happily. It was our pleasure. It was the least you could do after you saved our son's life. Light added with as equal enthusiasm as his mate. Speaking of mates, thankfully I had yet to encounter the lover of Armor's, and pray I never will face to face. From my limited knowledge over this world, my brother informed me Cadence has the power of forcing love from one pony to another. Or she heightens the feelings and makes them realize who they truly love. Or something like that. Either way, I'm not fond of others who have people, or ponies for that matter, act against their will. Do be sure to visit again. We would love to learn more about one of Twilight's new friends. Perhaps, was my sincere reply to Velvet's polite statement. But I hope I will never have to come back. Nothing personal. I still want to go home. Plain and simple. And by home, I meant Earth, not the library. It's a shame you're choosing to go without saying goodbye to the princess, Emma pointed out then. I think she was eager to learn more about you and where you originate from. Yes, I bet she was. Originate from? Light echoed in confusion. But aren't you from Ponyville? Damn it. Elmer quickly covered for me after the hard glare I was sending him. Ah, yes. See, Mother, Father, Stardust isn't truly from Ponyville. He's just staying there for a while because Celestia ordered it, so I finished for him. As part of a test for Twilight. Top secret, though. I added, then when the dark blue stallion opened his mouth. But they seemed to buy our explanation with interested nods. If they weren't looking, I'd have smacked Armor over the head for that slip up, and myself for mentioning their daughter like that. You must be good friends with the princess, since you address her so. All heads turned to the mayor, who finally spoke up, having been watching the exchange of words quietly. Yes, we met her halfway towards the station, and for some reason the boastful unicorn decided to follow us. Trixie appears unfazed by the attention, instead of staring at me with a contemplative frown. I might have some idea what she's thinking about. You could say that, I shrugged, before hearing the loud whistling of the train, prepared for departure behind me. Time is short. It's been fun here. Well, not really. I must take my leave. It was nice meeting you all. The feeling is mutual, Armor then said, rather sincerely. Yeah, that tone of his around me tremendously changed after I saved his ass in that house. The corner of my eye caused me to turn at the approaching beige mare and her little dark brown colt, both having kept quiet during my escort to the station. I never even got the names. But the real surprise was when a basket suddenly was being held in front of me, covered in the chow, and judging by the close smell, there was food in there. When did they take the time making this? For saving both my son and the captain of the Royal Guards. The tall, wire-tracking looking mare. Stop that. I mentally shook my head while slowly taking the basket off her waiting hoof. You are a brave stallion, sir. I couldn't possibly accept this, I protested lightly, staring at the object uncertainly. I find it hard to. Truth be told, I find it hard to accept a gift from anyone. Their gratefulness would have been enough. Please, you acted like a true hero today, along with Captain Armor. Instead, Stallion, watching the display, smiled pleasantly at my state. My reply was immediate. I'm no hero. Before they could reply, likely in protest over the truth, another sharp whistle from the train informed me the time was very short now. Okay, enough sentiments. I'll take this gift and probably give the entire contents to Spike. If anything inside wasn't chocolate, or hot chocolate with nuts in them. Nodding in thanks to the grateful mare, I quickly shook the hose of everyone but Trixie, who just continued to looking at me. Okay, I'm kind of disturbed about it now. As I finished by patting that hat, covering the kid's head gently, who smiled toothily at me for it, I was about to return before Armor spoke up one last time. Really, though, thank you. If you wouldn't have been there, I might have fallen through that hole. It was my pleasure, I replied with a small smile, paling to the white stallion's own. You can return the favor sometime in the future, I'm sure. Make sure my daughter is safe, Velvet called out, still believing that excuse both me and Homer conjured up concerning her offspring. Well, I boarded a train where its carriage doors will close any second now. Scoffing loudly, I called over my shoulder, Miss Velvet, I think it would be more the matter of your daughter taking care of me. End of chapter 9.